Welcome back. Thanksgiving is just 4 days away, and yes, we are all thinking about the food, the family time, the naps, all the good stuff. But it can also be the perfect moment to have a conversation about something most of us avoid: money. With everyone under one roof, it's a rare chance to talk about your family's financial future before life gets busy again. So joining us this morning with some really helpful tips is Kathy Dewitt-Dunne, President and CEO of Dewitt-Dunne Financial Services. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning, Janelle.
Okay, so let's be honest. Talking about money can feel awkward or even tense for a lot of families. Why is it still so important to push through and have those difficult conversations?
You're right. It is very difficult. And, the fact that we're going to all be gathering around the table over the holidays is a really good time because the last thing you want to do is to have a medical event or a financial emergency and you haven't discussed finances and no one knows where to turn. That could cost you a lot of money. So advanced planning is very important. And this is really such a great time to focus in on family.
And those are all really good points. So if a family decides, okay, we are going to do this, what are some of the big topics that they should really make sure that they cover?
Well, I think retirement is a really big topic because one of the things is that, maybe you talk to your parents, when do you think you're going to retire? Do you have enough money? Because on average, people spend in retirement $5,400 a month just on expenses. And maybe your parents need to pay off some debts before they retire. But we need to take a look at all of our sources of income. And one of the things is that with my firm, we've helped people plan for retirement and take the complexity out of it. And so by having a financial income plan really allows you to retire successfully. And that's some things that we need to focus in on. Are your parents or are you ready to retire?
And Kathy, you've been on Daybreak a few times. You always say two things people really avoid talking about are death and taxes, but avoiding them can actually set families up for financial heartache down the road. What do you mean by that?
It really is. It's about estate planning. I think you need to communicate your will and your desires on your assets in case something happens to you later down the road upon your passing. And you don't have to be wealthy to have an estate plan. And that basically allows your assets to go to who you want them to go to upon your passing. And it's also very important to communicate to the individual that you've elected to handle your finances. Make sure that you have a power of attorney. Have you thought about who's going to be the guardian for your children? And make sure that if you have an estate plan, that it is somewhere where people can find it. I have had this happen before. People don't know where to turn for these documents. So by having these discussions, it really is going to allow everybody to feel a lot better.
And one thing you mentioned a little earlier that I want to bring back up is long-term health care. That can feel overwhelming for folks. So what should families know as they start planning for that?
I think this is the one thing that we don't talk about enough because Medicare is not going to cover long-term care expenses down the road. And believe it or not, 1 out of 4 Americans right now are actually caregivers for someone. And it's no surprise that that's happening because of the expense of healthcare. If we take a look at long-term care, if you're in a facility, you're looking between $4,000 to $8,000 a month, depending upon the care that you need. So, talking about long-term care, there's so many options. Work with a financial planner or give us a call because there's some affordable options to help you later down the road with medical and long-term care expenses.
Kathy, so many of us needed to hear this as we start gathering with our families for the holidays. So thank you so much for joining us here on Daybreak this morning.